Jai Sadgurudev to all present. My name is Jai Sadgurudev to all present. My name is Srinivas Patnaik and I will be your MC for this session. A series of sessions in which esteemed members of Vihangam Yoga Singapore and worldwide are invited to speak and give us a visual of what they experience and share the knowledge of Saurabh. Since the Yoga Day was just around the corner and the celebrations were on worldwide, this session is very apt. The subject of today's session topic of discussion is what is Yoga, Part 2, a series that we commenced last week. The agenda for the day today is we will have the Swagat and Mangalgan, followed by the talk by Saurabh. What is Yoga Part 2 for at 11:10 for about 40 minutes. There will be a Q&A session, and I would request that the questions be posted in the chat box if you have any as the session is going on. And or in the end, you can, of course, unmute yourself and ask. We shall conclude the session with the Shanti part, and we expect the satsang to close at 12 p.m. Though we are slightly behind schedule in starting the session, we are 2 minutes behind. For those who are not aware of Vihangam Yoga, and for those who are already aware, let me refresh your memory and introduce. Vihangam Yoga organization is an NGO, a pioneer in yoga and advanced meditation training, uplifting the human life in all aspects. The organization was established in the year 1924 by His Holiness Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj. He discovered this wonderful meditation technique after 17 years of strenuous meditation practice. Today, under the guidance of the present Sadguru, His Holiness Sri Swatantra Devji Maharaj, Vihangam Yoga has reached more than 45 countries and has transformed lives of more than 5 million disciples worldwide. Our operational international headquarters is situated on the bank of Holy River Ganga in Prayagraj in India. Amidst the global pandemic, Vihangam Singapore had taken several innovative initiatives, which include daily online session of breathing exercises, pranayama, and Vihangam meditation. Now, post-pandemic, we have also added more inclusive sessions, including sessions that, like this one, that is held every Sunday at 11 a.m. To know of the many more events that are happening, I would invite you to visit our website, vihangamsg.com, the events page, and get associated for your own benefit and self-development. Saurabh Mahamandir is located in Varanasi, India, and can house 20,000 practitioners at any given time. This was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister in 2021. Visiting the Saurabh Mahamandir should definitely be on your bucket list of everyone who's on this satsang today and who are listening on the Facebook. I had the opportunity to visit the Mahamandir in January 2019 when the construction was still in progress, and also had the divine intervention of having to get initiated to the Vihangam Yoga meditation technique right inside the Mahamandir. We move on to the next session, which is the Swagat Gan and Mangal Gan. Let me briefly explain both the parts of it, like the Western, Swagat Gan or the welcome song. This song has been composed by Sri Sadguru Sadafal Devji Maharaj to welcome the eternal Sadguru entity. In this welcome song, a prayer has been made to the eternal Sadguru entity to bless us so that its spiritual message can be disseminated throughout the world. It has also been prayed to bestow the praying devotees with special energy and to protect and preserve the mantle of Sadguru in the world, which has been bestowed by the eternal Sadguru entity itself. Mangalgan, the song for prosperity and peace and prosperity. This prayer for world peace and prosperity has been also composed by the world guru Sri Swamiji while in the highest state of yogic meditation. Meditation practitioners are instructed to make this prayer a regular basis from their platform of meditation for the sustenance of the world peace and prosperity in all nations of the world. For Swagat Gan and Mangal Gan, just give me a second. Okay. आज there was a disruption on the internet. I repeat that again. Let me start the Swagat Gan again. आज स्वागत नित्य गुरुवर संशोभात्म विद्या दिव्य ज्योति सोमर दोष दुर्गुण दूर करके शुद्ध हंस बनाइए भेद गम गति ज्ञान गर्जन शक्ति द्वार हटाइए खोले द्वारा शब्द सागर भक्त जन अनवाइए जन सदा फल विश्व शिक्षक शान आन बचाइए Mangalgan. विश्व शांति नाम मंगल परम गुरु को ध्याइए, वर्ग द्वंद्व अशांति आइए। सार्वभौम समष्टि सत्ता ध्यात्म राज्य बनाइए, देश भाषा भाव जग में ज्ञान पर दर्शाइए। समृद्धि सुख शांति धरातल स्वर्ग भूमि बनाइए, विश्व शिक्षक जन सदा फल नीति स्वर अपनाइए। Jai Sadgurudev. We move on to the most important part of today's session. What is yoga? Part 2. Before I invite the speaker, Saurabh Sinha ji, I would like to invite Saurabh, please introduce.
Jai Gurudev Srinivas ji, although I'm not able to hear you
to all of us
properly, but I guess I was asked to introduce Saurabh ji. Thank you very much for this opportunity to come on this forum to introduce Saurabh ji. Most of us heard him last Sunday, and I'm sure those who had heard him, they definitely would have mesmerized the way simplistically he had presented part 1 on yoga, the basics of the meaning of yoga and yoga. So today we are going to have the extended version of that section on the occasion of International Day of Yoga. So just in few words about Saurabh ji. Saurabh ji resides in Singapore, now a citizen, originally from India, but he has been in Singapore since last almost 15 to 16 years. And he was the one who basically started propagating the knowledge and principles of Swamiji in Singapore since 2005-06. And he is one of the co-founders of Vihangam Yoga Singapore organization, and he was director also for one of the directors of this organization. Saurabh ji has been very near and dear to current master Sadhguru Swatantra Dev Ji Maharaj. Not just that, both of the parents now, of course, no more in the mortal body form, but both of them have been very much devoted to Swamiji. And many times whenever discussion comes, Swamiji definitely mention about both of them. So this particular treasure of Saurabh ji is coming since few decades along with him. He has been associated with Vihangam Yoga, of course, now you can understand, since his childhood. And in Singapore, he has been helping all of us, leading lots of activities in Singapore and associated countries, also guiding us to let things happen in the right direction so that we can work appropriately for achieving the ultimate objective of Vihangam Yoga, to reach out to as many as people as possible. Thank you very much, Saurabh being with us today. Just one more thing, Saurabh has studied from IIT BHU in of course, Varanasi, India. And here in Singapore, he had been working with a few companies to manage the funds of those companies. Right now, he is very much on his own to develop things at his own end. Thank you very much, Saurabh for joining us. We are waiting for your voice to hear, to learn a few more things on yoga. Thank you. Welcome on the forum.
Thank you, Subhashji, Jai Sadgurudev, everybody. Thank you for introducing me. So we are here on the occasion of this International Day of Yoga, which was held worldwide on the 21st of June. So the entire week is usually celebrated in different parts of the world. People celebrate on different days based on where the weekends are placed. We at Vihangam Yoga Singapore organized two big events, one on the 18th of June at Changi, and today on the 25th of June, we are also organizing another event to celebrate the International Day of Yoga, where everyone is invited. So on this day of yoga, we did a two-part presentation, the first of which was held on the 18th of June. And today we are extending that discussion further to complete our two-part sequence on a discussion of what is yoga all about. So if you can go to the next slide, where we will recap what we have done in the first part for the benefit of all. Okay. So last week we discussed Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. We saw that the Ashtanga Yoga philosophy of Patanjali has 8 limbs. What are the 8 limbs? We have the yam, the niyam, the asan, pratyahar, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. The English versions of those words are there in the slide before you. We then went on to discuss Karma Yoga, which is the yoga of deeds. And if you recollect, there were 2 broad areas of emphasis then: a right kind of attitude of surrender and give up, and the right kind of actions, selfless, being harmless to others, be very keen to perform duties and responsibilities, giving back more to the world than what you're taking from it, and penance of all kinds through thought, word, speech, action. Then we went on to discuss the 9 principles of Bhakti Yoga. What are those 9? The English versions are there before you. Bhakti Yoga talks about listening to scriptures and spiritual literature, singing praise of gods, whoever is your preferred deity, to remember the God that you worship, to serve humanity, to worship your deity, to pray, to make prayers to the deity, have faith in whoever you worship, and have faith so much so that you become friends with the deity that you worship, and you surrender yourself to the deity. And then we went on to discuss Jnana Yoga, that is the yoga of knowledge, and which is tied up with Brahmvidya. And we said that Brahmvidya has got three aspects. Actually, there are two aspects. One is the theoretical knowledge that is required, and the other is the practical meditative experience that goes on with the theoretical knowledge. But we went on to say that Brahmvidya philosophy is that this knowledge cannot be granted to people who are not eligible. And we went on to discuss the whole host of issues of eligibility. And even in one of the previous sessions, we have talked exclusively about what is eligibility, why is it required, and how can eligibility be acquired. And essentially, all these yoga methodologies that we discussed in the last session also are about eligibility. So all these pathways, whether it is Ashtanga Yoga or Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, they all acknowledge that we, the souls, are in the bondage of Prakriti, in the bondage of this world. And all these pathways are trying to detach us from the shackles of Prakriti. And all these pathways are actually, how are they trying to take us away from Prakriti or unshackle us from Prakriti? By enhancing our eligibility. They are enabling our journey towards subtlety. Or in other words, in some way, they're taking us towards the end of Prakriti or end of this mortal world, from where we can get a glimpse of the divine. Some are trying to do it through deeds, the Karma Yoga. Others are trying to do it through devotion, for example, the Bhakti Yoga. Yet others are trying to do it through knowledge and meditation, like Jnana Yoga. We can go to the next slide. So today, what we will try to do, we can also skip this slide because this is what we talked about. So as you see, this is the Prakriti, where all these yogas, the different forms of yogas are pouring into it. And this is the domain of deeds and eligibility, which is Prakriti. And they are all trying to take us to the end of Prakriti, towards the divine. Can go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So today we will discuss what each of these pathways has to say about our mind, which is the man. And the reason why we are going into the issue of the mind, is that you will see the connection between mind and eligibility. Mind is intricately connected with eligibility. So if you believe that all these branches of yoga are ultimately trying to build up eligibility within you so that you can reach the divine, then it follows that they are also trying to do something in terms of your mind. And we will see in today's discussion how these two things are deeply and intricately interrelated. Let's go to the next slide. So this is what the Bhakti Yoga talks about in terms of the mind. So Bhakti Yoga says that mind can be your friend or it can be your obstacle in the pursuit of spiritual growth. If you can direct and control your mind, it can become a powerful tool for developing devotion and getting a connection with the divine. But at the same time, Bhakti Yoga also recognizes that the mind is restless. It is very prone to distractions. It can wander away. It can get entangled in worldly entrapments and distractions through desires. All these are barriers to spiritual progress. Therefore, through the practice of devotion, which Bhakti Yoga talks about, the mind can be redirected from worldly pursuits towards the divine. And this is the process of inner transformation that Bhakti Yoga is all about. So, to summarize this particular slide, what Bhakti Yoga is saying is that through the practice of devotion to whoever is your divine, the mind can be transformed so that it now becomes a channel for experiencing divine love and union, that is the yoga with the divine. So it is a process through devotion. Now let's go to the next slide and see what Karma Yoga says. So this is what Karma Yoga is saying. The mind, again, like Bhakti Yoga, it also acknowledges that the mind can either bind an individual to the cycle of karma and lead to liberation, or it can get diverted to selfish desires, attachments, egoic tendencies, basically selfish, self-driven stuff which is taking you away from the divine. And how both of these happen is through the cycle of karma. The goal in Karma Yoga is therefore to purify the mind and align your mind with selflessness and a sense of duty and responsibility. And how do you do that? In Karma Yoga, you train the mind to focus on the present, and you learn or you practice to perform actions without getting attached to those actions. And thereby you transcend your ego, and you hope that it will reduce your attachment with the karmic implications or the consequences. So you become indifferent to the consequences of your actions. You're not so attached to whatever you are doing, and you are doing it, whatever you are doing is with a sense of detachment, selflessness, and with a sense of duty and purpose. So Karma Yoga emphasizes the importance of self-awareness, self-observation, self-introspection, which helps you get a deeper understanding of the mind, and you observe the mind and its tendencies. And therefore, you are able to make conscious choices that align with selflessness and righteousness. So Karma Yoga encourages individuals to cultivate a sense of discipline and control over their mind through practices like meditation, mindfulness, self-discipline. So to summarize this slide, Karma Yoga is talking about cultivating self-awareness, detachment, and discipline. And the whole idea how it is to be done is by purifying the mind and aligning it with selflessness and a sense of duty. Now let's go to the next slide and see what Raja Yoga says. So Raja Yoga or Hatha Yoga, they acknowledge that the state of the mind directly affects the body. And therefore, having a calm, focused, balanced mind is very essential for the practice of Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga recognizes that the mind is restless, agitated, prone to distractions like the other yoga methodologies that we saw. The fluctuations of the mind, it calls the vrittis. And it says that these vrittis of the mind, they hinder a person's ability to experience inner stillness and clarity. And therefore, through the practice of asanas, which are the postures, or the pranayam, which is breath exercise, and meditation, the dhyan, the Hatha Yoga tries to calm the mind and tries to bring it into balance. Through these meditation techniques, the practitioners of Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga, they learn to observe and detach from the thoughts and their mental patterns. And through regular meditation practice, the individuals develop a sense of self-awareness, and they therefore are able to understand their minds better. They get a deeper sense of peace and stillness as a result. So to summarize this slide, through those eightfold path, that is the physical postures, breath control, meditation, and the associated paraphernalia of yam, niyam, etc., practitioners of Hatha Yoga are trying to calm the mind, cultivate mindfulness, and promote inner balance. Next slide. Yeah, so all forms of yoga, therefore, acknowledge the challenge that is being posed by the mind in attaining spiritual progress. And each of these forms has a method to tame, recondition, transform, reform, redirect, whichever way you want to term it, the mind. In Bhakti Yoga, through the 9 practices of devotion, Ashtanga Yoga through the 8 limbs, and in Karma Yoga through cultivation of self-awareness, detachment, and discipline. All these bodies of yoga are trying to tame the mind. Now, since in the previous session on what is yoga, we have seen that these different pathways are also trying to build eligibility, trying to move you from being remaining ineligible, they are moving you towards eligibility. And today we are seeing that they're talking about taming the mind. And therefore, a natural logical conclusion is that the taming, transformation, reform, redirection of mind is synonymous with acquisition of eligibility. In other words, if your mind is in your control, you are also automatically moving towards becoming fully eligible. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so for most pathways, this state of complete eligibility is also coincident with the state of attainment of their ultimate objective. And rightfully so. So basically, what the other yoga pathways, or what all of the yoga pathways are saying, that once you become eligible, once you have tamed your mind, we have achieved our objective. We have reached our destination. And why is it so important is because you have surmounted the most important hurdle. Like, for example, in the Gita, Arjuna says that taming of the mind is kind of impossible. It is like taming the wind, which is next to impossible. So once you have tamed the mind, it is but natural for us to believe that since the mind is at the root cause of all bondage of Prakriti, therefore, once we have tamed the mind, naturally we should feel liberated, which was our ultimate purpose, right? To come out of Prakriti, of the bondage of births and rebirths. That should be a logical conclusion. But Jnana Yoga or Brahm Vidya says no. It says that the real journey towards liberation of the soul, or the real journey towards salvation, actually begins only after the mind has been completely tamed. So this is the major difference between Jnana Yoga or Brahm Vidya and the other forms of yoga. So while the other forms of yoga also bring you to the level of eligibility, where a real devoted, fully compliant seeker may be able to completely tame their mind. Jnana Yoga, of which Vihangam Yoga and Gyan Yoga, Brahm Vidya, they're all synonymous. They say that this is the beginning, not the end, because the real exciting journey in the conscious realm begins from here. So next, let's go to the next slide and see what Vihangam Yoga or Brahm Vidya, of which the Swarved is the biggest encyclopedia written from over 17 years of meditative experience of its founder, says on this issue. So Vihangam Yoga says that mind is not an abstract thing. It is an entity that truly exists. Now, if you recall our discussion of the 6 eternal entities which we had done some time back during the Kabir Prakatya Divas, where we had defined the terms conscious and inert, 4 of the 6 eternal entities are conscious entities, while Prakriti is an inert entity, and the entity of time, for that this classification of Jad and Chetan doesn't apply. So the inert and conscious doesn't apply to the entity of time. So in spiritual terminology, mind is neither a conscious entity nor is it a completely inert entity. It is somewhere in between. That is why it is called Agantuk Chetan. So what we mean by that is that in the world of permanent conscious spiritual entities, mind actually is making a guest appearance. Mind is also been considered equivalent to Prakriti. This is because the soul by itself does not know anything about Prakriti. Mind is the connector. So when there is no mind, there is no world that exists before the soul. So it is only through the connection with the mind that the soul gets to know and interact with this world or with Prakriti. So no mind equal to no Prakriti. So what is the function of the mind? Why does the mind exist? The main purpose is to connect the conscious Chetan soul with the Jad, inert sense organs and organs of deed. So the performance of deed happens through the connection of the mind. Now, recall that there are pure attributes of an eternal entity like the soul, that it has got knowledge, it has got the ability to make resolves and to perform deeds towards fulfillment of those resolves. So in the realm of the Prakriti, it is through only the association with the mind that the soul is able to fulfill its resolutions in the Prakritic sense. So as the soul acquires eligibility, the knowledge of Brahm Vidya is downloaded into it, unfolds within it. The mind enables the soul to also enact its predispositions of the Chit, because the Chit have got your sanskars, which are the stored memory, and they also have a store of what are the unexpired consequences of your previous births, which have been destined to be expired through your having to bear their consequences in this present birth. So the mind enables the enactment of those, of what is known as the prarabdha. The mind rises and falls, its character rises and falls based on the kinds of deeds that are being done by the soul out of its free will and due to the chit vrittis or of the prarabdha. Now, Jnana Yoga or Vihangam Yoga believes in a 4S framework of sadhana, satsang, swadhyay, and seva, through which the mind is kept at elevated levels. And this makes a positive feedback impact on the progress in the acquisition of eligibility, knowledge, and meditation. The next point is that the mind has a fleeting nature, which other yoga forms also acknowledge. It draws energy from the soul to which it is connected at one end, and at the other end, it keeps jumping from one subject to the other. It keeps on moving from here and there. So, in the first three stages of Vihangam Yoga, the mind is tamed, purified, and made subtle through the process of meditation. This, coupled with the 4S that we talked about, elevates the character of the mind. So, if you compare this with other pathways like the Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, you will find similarities. Taming, conditioning, elevation, transformation of the mind is happening through the 4S methodology, of which meditation is the practical part. And then you are doing seva, satsang, and sadhana to enhance your eligibility. The next point is that mind is intricately connected with breath, with the pranas. So, as the mind gets tamed in meditation, the breath automatically also gets tamed. But unlike other forms of yoga, Vihangam yoga practitioners are not required to sit in hours and hours doing breathing exercises, bandhs, and mudras to tame their or channelize their breath. In the process of Vihangam yoga, your breath automatically gets tamed as the mind is getting tamed. The other thing is that the first three of the 5 stages of Vihangam yoga are similar to other yoga pathways because the objectives are to make a person completely eligible. And in some other yoga forms, we talk about the Kundalini, Jagran, the opening of the secretive 10th opening, which is also the case here. Note that Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga do not have any tangible endpoints, like we are talking about this Dasham Dwar opening or Kundalini. But nevertheless, they talk about a Samadhi state also coming in all these various forms. Vihangam Yoga or Jnana Yoga, it has to say that until you are in the realm of Prakriti, the Samadhi that you're talking about is an inert or a jad Samadhi. This is not a real Samadhi. This is a state that you're achieving of intense focused concentration due to the acquisition of a very elevated level of eligibility. But this is still a state within the realm of Prakriti. But the other yoga forms consider this to be the ultimate Samadhi, and that is their ultimate state of oneness with the desired entity of worship. We can go to the next slide. Sorry. So Vihangam yoga methodology believes that until the mind exists, there is no worship, no devotion. And it states that until the mind remains within the realm of Prakriti, the mind is still there. It may have become calm and tranquil, but it has not ceased to exist. In Vihangam yoga meditation methodology, it goes beyond the bounds of Prakriti, where you neutralize completely this Agantuk Chetan mind or the semi-conscious mind, where in its source of origin, which is the Akshar Mandal, which is the Akshar Brahma. So Vihangam yoga is talking about not only taming the mind, but after taming the mind, you need to deposit the mind from where it had originated. And the real journey of meditation and the journey towards the divine starts only after you have deposited your mind. Just taming your mind, making it lie low, is a very good state to achieve. It can actually also take you into an intense state of concentration, but you are not yet transcending to the conscious realm, which is required for you to get a conversation with the divine. This is how Vihangam Yoga is different from all the methodologies. But to discuss Vihangam Yoga, the conscious aspects of Vihangam Yoga, it will be a topic for discussion in another future episode, where we will try to describe what is otherwise an indescribable Chetan meditation journey. Because it is in the conscious realm, so it cannot be described. This is where I would end for today. Thanks for your patient listening, and I'm very happy to take questions.
Thank you, Saurabh. As I already mentioned earlier, these two sessions have been very, very insightful and powerful. We have all read and heard about yoga in our own ways. However, the way in which you have compiled the information and explained in such a practical manner, keeping Saurabh and Swamiji's teachings in the perspective, is really very, very powerful for us. Saurabh, I mean, the last couple of slides were very, very intense, especially Saurabh on mind was very revealing, something that I completely identify with. We can have discussions on that. I would love to communicate with you on that matter. As a connector between the soul and the senses, the brain, until it is entangled with the senses, it cannot go anywhere. I love that part of it. Now, the command which you have shown in the past sessions, this is your third session with us. Very powerful, Saurabh, very convincing and eye-opening, myth-breaking way you present the things and explain. I'm sure all attending this session would reciprocate my thoughts in this regard. And without further delay, I would like to take any questions or clarifications, if any. You may put it on the chat, or you may unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your questions. Saurabh, while everybody is pondering over these questions, if you could just throw a little more light on the mind as a connector between the soul and the senses. I mean, how do we go out of releasing the mind from the body? Is it just by the meditation, or there are several other methods? Just in brief, if you can explain on that.
So thanks for your question, Srinivas. So as we saw over the course of the previous sessions and today as well, there are various ways to tame the mind. There is no one way, or there may be one of the methods could be more efficient than the others, but the mind can be tamed by a variety of ways. And essentially, the various yoga forms that exist primarily because they are essentially different ways of taming the mind. They are different ways of gaining or acquiring eligibility. So there is no one method to tame the mind. Now, the one part of your question, which was in the nature of seeking a clarification about the mind and its relationship with the senses. as we said, the senses, whether it is your sense organs or your organs of deed, they are of an inert nature. By themselves, they cannot act. They cannot make resolves. They do not have an intelligence in layman's terms in them. The intelligence comes only when the mind connects with them. And the mind by itself also is only semi conscious. The real energy is coming from the soul. But the soul, without the mind, cannot use the senses. It does not know, it doesn't, it's the operating system is completely different. So for the conscious entities like your soul, like Akshar Brahma, like the eternal Sadguru or Paramatma, they are conscious entities. They cannot talk with or have an intelligent conversation with Jad entities just like that. And leave alone the soul, because soul is a anu entity. It is not even an omnipresent satta. It's not an omnipresent entity, so it is not as powerful as well compared to the other entities. So it's a conscious entity, cannot interact with the inert prakriti or the inert world, and it cannot interact with its own body that has been given to it, the sthul body. Therefore, it needs inner organs. And soul has got not one inner organ, it has got 4 inner organs. Mind is only one of them. There is the intellect, which is also an entity. It is one of the 4 inner entities or inner organs of the soul. The mind, the intellect, the chit, which we briefly discussed. The chit itself is a very vast topic of discussion, which we may probably discuss separately in a separate session devoted to chit. Understanding of the chit is also very important, and it is very vague in scriptures all around the world. So chit is there. And then finally, there is the ahankar, or the sense of existence of the soul. The soul believes that it exists as a separate entity because of that inner organ of aham, which is there. So these 4 are very, very powerful inner organs of the soul, of which the mind is particularly important because it is the one that binds the soul with prakriti. And therefore, if you are trying to reach to conscious entities like God, which are beyond prakriti, you cannot reach them through prakritic tools like your sense organs, through just by thinking through your mind and through your intellect and getting devoted and conditioning yourself to believing that you are doing great worship. At the end, you are only performing deeds in the realm of prakriti. You will get as a result very good consequences, because good deeds have good consequences. But you will not get God, which is a conscious entity. To get to that conscious entity, you have to transcend the domain of prakriti. And unfortunately, with the mind and with the intellect and with your sense organs, no matter what you do, no matter what you build, you will not be able to use any tools to reach there. There is only a gateway to reach there, to the conscious realm, and that is what is discussed in Jnana Yoga, and it is there in Saurabh for you to read about in whatever detail you want. Everything is just there.
Thank you, Saurabh, for that insight. And definitely, we've got the topics for the next 4 sessions for you out there. Each one I know is a vast subject and topic, and I would love to hear more of them from you. And I'm sure everybody here reciprocates their thoughts on to have those sessions taking forward, because mind has always been an intriguing question for everybody. Starts from that. Chitta and all that, of course, we've heard, but we never want to even delve into that area because we still can't get over the mind part of it. Thank you so much, Saurabh, again, and thank you very much to everybody who is organizing this. Chandanji, I have to give a big shout out to you for being so supportive all the time. And while my internet was giving ups and downs today, you took over. Thank you so much. And everybody who's part of organizing these sessions and on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, for reading online. There's a lot of effort that goes in. And the vote of thanks cannot be just for this particular session. It's a collective effort of everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, from the bottom of my heart, for everything in whichever way you're contributing. We move to the final session of our presentation today, and which is Shanti Part. To offer this prayer, I would like to invite Chandanji. I think Pranav is not here today, so I would like to invite Chandanji to do the Shanti Part, please.
जय सद्गुरुदेव. शांति पाठ. हे प्रभु शांति स्वरूप हो, शांति शांतिमय शांति, शांति शांति जन शांति हो, पूर्ण शांतिमय शांति. हे प्रभु शांति प्रदान कर, दूर हो सर्व अशांति. देव सदा फल शांतिमय, शांति शांति सुख शांति, शांति शांति सुख शांति. Thank you. Back to you, Srinivasji.
Chandanji. And while we conclude, on the slide on front, you have all the sessions of meditation online. I invite and sincerely request everyone to join and be part of this wonderful initiatives that have been taken by Vihangam Singapore, and get yourself into that zone. We have the meet and greet happening on next Sunday evening. Please look at your WhatsApp groups. You will get all the information. Please register yourself. And I would like to invite all of you to please invite at least 5 to 10 people in your friend circle to come for the session. I have already sent it to 25 people and I will send to more. So please send to as many of your friends, colleagues who are in Singapore to come and join and make this event a grand success. The success is not for the Vihangam Yoga Singapore. The success is for all of us. The success is for you. It's for your presence. Seva. Be there. Be in satsang, as Saurabh says, the 4 S's. So please be there. Please bring as many people as you can get to associated with this wonderful MGMS meet and greet session on 2nd July at 4 p.m. in the evening. Subhashji, any final word from you just before we close?
No, all good, Srinivasji. Thank you very much for hosting this. And I'm sure this journey would continue as it is to let anyone and everyone benefited from whatever we are putting our effort for. Thank you.
Okay, then. Thank you very much, everyone. I consider and conclude this session of today and call it a close. Thank you very much, everyone. Jai Sadgurudev.